Well, welcome back to this final lesson for module number 3. Today, I want to talk to you about long-term fasting. We have discussed what you need to do to get into a fasted state. We have discussed what the fasting fuels are that you can use if it's really challenging. And when you go into a long-term fast, that's when you kind of really want to look at what kind of fasting fuels might work for you if you find yourself hungry. So what I want to talk to you about is anything beyond 24 hours. Up to 24 hours is not considered a long-term fast. That's actually just considered intermittent fasting. When you go past that 24-hour mark, you are officially doing an extended fast. What that can look like is, the first 48 hours of your body getting used to not having fuel can be challenging because you're hungry. I chose the first time I ever did an extended fast to do it with just water. Oh my goodness. The headache that I experienced from taking caffeine out of my diet was atrocious. And it was 2 days. I even had to go home from work early the first day because they run machines in our warehouse and I was dying from the headache. The second time that I chose to do an extended fast, I decided to keep caffeine in my diet. So a fasting fuel is anything that's not anything. Let me take that back. A fasting fuel are liquids and foods that are high in fat and don't spike your insulin, less than 50 calories. 2 tablespoons of half and half is 40 calories. So when I'm doing a good fast, I always try to make sure that I measure out my half and half so that I'm not exceeding that caloric intake. And that's per hour. So you go beyond that 24 hours, you're probably going to feel some hunger, especially if you don't prep before you go into a fast. But if you choose to prep before you go into a fast, that means that you've cut carbs, you've cut sugar for at least a day or two before you start, preferably longer, especially if you currently eat a standard American diet, because the more time you give yourself to ingest just proteins and fats that are really good and healthy for you, the easier it is for you to go longer without food. The reason being is carbohydrates actually make us hungry. Sugar creates cravings. If you're just eating protein, 2 things: your body won't allow you to overeat protein, but you're also satiated for a much longer period of time. So when I eat a giant steak in the middle of the day, I'm typically not hungry for the rest of the day. When I eat bacon and eggs for the midday meal that I eat, I tend to get hungrier later. So the more, and even though that's still good protein, bacon is high fat and not as much protein. So the point being, protein always needs to be the focal point in everything to do with brain health. And it doesn't mean that you have to be carnivore. It just means that that needs to be where your focus is, on where you get the majority of your calories, because at that point you're giving your body the rest that it needs because you're just not hungry all the time. So you work your way up to getting to that point where you're going to start that fast. You're going to go through those first 24 hours. It might not be that bad. If you've been working on getting your fasting under control and you've been fasting regularly for 16 hours, adding that extra 8 hours just really isn't that big of a deal. But a lot of us will feel some hunger. So as I mentioned in the previous video, if you feel hunger, drink a lot of water. Just guzzle 8 ounces of water really quickly, and that will probably take care of it. But if you are still hungry after that and your stomach is growling, kind of hungry, then I suggest trying a fasting fuel. And what that looks like is, like I talked about in the other video, you grab a couple of olives or you grab a couple of high-fat nuts, anything that will go in without creating hunger for you, because there are some foods out there that are triggers. And you're going to eat it and it's going to be like, whoa, all of a sudden you're going to feel like if you don't get food in your body, you're going to just eat your arm off. And that's kind of part of the testing that you have to go through as you acclimate to a fasted lifestyle. So don't think you failed if you break a fast really early. The first time that we tried to fast, we broke within 48 hours. The second time we tried to fast, No, the first time we tried to fast, I broke early. My husband broke in 48 hours. I broke in 4 days. The second time I tried to do another long-term fast, I broke in 48 hours. I couldn't do it. So there are going to be periods of time, especially as a woman, if you're hormonal, where fasting is just not going to happen. Your body's not going to react to it well. That's okay. The idea is to just keep trying, and it's not that you need to do it all the time. You just need to get yourself into a practiced state of fasting. If you never give your body the break that it needs, then you're never going to experience the healing that your body can have. Fasting is the easiest and best way to heal your gut. It is the easiest and best way to clean up bad cells in your body, and it is the easiest and okay, maybe not the easiest. I keep saying it's the easiest. It is the best. It is the best way to clean up your brain. It gets easier the more you do it. So going into that extended fast, how it helps you with your brain, I just touched on a few things. If you have gut problems, it will help you heal your gut because your gut gets that break. You're not having to digest your food because you're not putting food in your body, and your body is going, oh, this is nice. I might be empty, and yeah, it's doing this little dance. I might be empty, but I'm not having to work right now, and I'm enjoying this vacation. And it's got the little umbrella drink, and it's just happy as it can be. And the umbrella drink is the hydrochloric acids that need to be able to build up in your belly so that you can actually digest food properly. And it's all the fluids that need to be able to work through your belly and your intestines so that all your digestive processes go smoothly. And that happens when you're not shoving food in there and making it work. So acids build up the way that they need to, things calm down in there, and you feel a lot better. The other part of it, and all of this is associated with the brain because there is a huge connection between your brain and your gut. If your gut's not healthy, your brain's not healthy, and vice versa. So it all ties in. The other part of it is your endocrine system gets a break. It just gets to calm down. You're not putting anything inflammatory in your body. Your nervous system gets a break. If you've got anxiety that's really bad. Now, fasting can be a little, it can be non-beneficial for people who are super anxious, for people who are hypo or hyperglycemic, people who are type 1 diabetic typically can't fast. I mean, there are reasons not to fast. If you're pregnant, if you're type 1 diabetic, if you are, hyperglycemic, which is that everything works so fast. If you're hypoglycemic, that actually, you go into that stage when you're fasting. You want to be a little hypoglycemic because things slow down. But if you're hyperglycemic, that can be a little detrimental. So there are reasons not to fast, but 97 to 99% of the people watching this video right now probably should be fasting. So let's not make excuses to not fast because I said that there are people that don't need to fast. I imagine most of the people watching this video right now are probably around my age. You might be a little younger and able or wanting to have babies, and that's fine. But if you're pregnant, don't fast. If you're breastfeeding, don't fast. Ask those questions. You're free to ask any questions that you want to ask. That's the benefit of this course, is that I'm here to answer your questions. And if you're in the Voxer group, please ask in there, because there might be other people that have the same question or don't know that they have that question, and they need you to prompt them to go, oh my gosh. So I digress. Just don't be afraid to ask the questions. There are always going to be things that I might forget to touch on that you might want to know about, and I am here to answer it. And if I don't have the answer right offhand, I will find the expert that does. So just keep that in mind. Moving on to other ways that this can help you, where especially it comes to brain health, is the cleaning up of the synapses and cleaning up of the damaged cells in our brain and helping to remove some of that plaque. All of that happens when we're allowing ketones to work in our brain instead of insulin, because the insulin is what's causing these cells in our brains to go, oh my gosh, there's just too much going on in here. I can't keep going. It's time for us to put a pause on new cell generation, and we need to shut down these cells because they're damaged. This is kind of what's happening. Your brain kind of works like a computer. And so it starts saying, okay, we have to protect these cells because they're getting damaged. And here's the plaque. We're going to put this plaque on this brain because the cells are getting too damaged, but the plaque smothers the cells and kills them. And if the plaque is there, you can't regenerate new cells. So you see how Alzheimer's builds up. So the plaque, everybody has always heard that this beta amyloid plaque that we get on our brain is what causes Alzheimer's. And that is actually becoming the opposite of what we thought. That beta amyloid plaque that builds up on our brain is protecting the brain from the damage that we are doing to our brains because of all of the sugar and the carbs that we're putting in our body. The number one cause for Alzheimer's is inflammation. The number one cause of inflammation is sugar. The number two cause of inflammation is carbohydrates that may not be sugar-y, but turn to sugar. So anything white, your breads, your rices, your flours, your potatoes, anything like that, those things just turn to sugar. And so they become inflammatory. And there's other foods out there that become inflammatory, oils and things like that. But I'm just, when we get into the nutrition module next, we're going to really dive deep. But I just want you to think about the fasting effect is that you're not putting those things into your body. And so your brain gets an opportunity to clean itself up. The longer you go without food, the more cleaning gets to happen in your brain. So you go into autophagy at 14 hours fasted and you stay in autophagy. If your body is producing insulin, you cannot be in autophagy. You can't do both. So one has to be happening, one has to not be happening for the other to be happening. So that being said, as soon as you break your fast, you are no longer in autophagy. Autophagy is also where you need to be for neuroplasticity to be happening in your brain. Neuroplasticity is when your brain is really creating those synapses again. It's bringing all of those memories back to life. It's giving you that repair. And none of that can happen when you're not in a fasted state. Now, does that mean that you need to fast all the freaking time, more than 24 hours? Absolutely not. But daily fasting is imperative for that. Do you need to fast 7 days a week? No. But doing an extended fast once a quarter can benefit you like you've never known. And then making intermittent fasting part of your regular regimen. Doesn't have to be 7 days a week, but part of your regular regimen. So my husband and I fast typically 5 to 6 days a week. We always take a day off. And we have learned through some of the scientists and neurologists that I have studied under that there's a little bit of it's kind of like tripping up your muscles. You know how they say don't do the same exercises all the time because you want your muscles to, kind of get jolted and confused, and it helps. I don't know how much literal scientific evidence there is behind that. But I did hear in a symposium I was in not too long ago that you kind of need to do the same thing for your brain. So you don't want to eat the same thing every single day, and you don't want to practice the same fasting every single day. So if you decide to do 20 hours, 5 days a week, and 14 hours, 2 days a week, that's no big deal. Even if you do, 8 hours of fasting on a Friday night and then go have breakfast on Saturday with your family, whatever, but the idea is to try and be as consistent as you can. So when you're doing long-term fasting, now this is critical. My first long-term fast that I did, it didn't even occur to me until I was talking to a group that I'm in for Alzheimer's, that our fat stores all of the toxins that we bring into our body. Not only the toxins that we ingest through our food, but what we breathe in, what we drink. Believe it or not, your tap water is probably toxic. We'll talk more about that in the next module. So the toxins that we bring into our body are stored in our fat. When we go into ketosis, that means that our body is burning fat instead of burning sugar or glucose. When that happens, all of those toxins are being released into our bodies. this is not good. This will make you feel and be really, really sick, especially if you're highly toxic. So if you're coming off of a standard American diet where you're consuming a lot of vegetable and seed oils, if you are living in an area that's highly polluted, if you drink your tap water, like there are tons of ways for us to be toxic. And so if we are highly toxic people, then all of those toxins are releasing into our body. So the reason that I broke my fast 4 days in when I was started to do a 14-day fast was because I felt so bad. All of those toxins had released into my body from not eating for 4 days, and I thought I was going to die. I was dizzy. I was disoriented. I was just going up and down the stairs was causing me massive heart palpitations. And then someone in one of my groups suggested that I was not taking anything to bind to those toxins, and I knew better, but I just forgot. And so this last time that I did it, I took activated charcoal the whole time, and I felt amazing. Yes, I got hungry, but I felt amazing. I worked out every single day. It was just a totally different experience. So activated charcoal, I take it every day. I take it at night before I go to bed. You want to take it, if you're fasting, you can take it any time of day. If you're doing intermittent fasting, depending on when you have your last meal, you want to make sure that you take activated charcoal with more than 2 hours from before or after a meal, because if you don't, then the charcoal grabs hold of whatever nutrients that you've just put into your body, and it leaches onto those and pulls those out of your body. So you want to make sure that you're not in, front row digestion, and that you take that charcoal later. So like today I had my last meal at 11:30. I'm recording this video at 6:30. I can take my charcoal anytime. I won't eat again until 7 tomorrow morning. So I'll take it tonight before I go to bed. But that is a really big deal. You want to make sure that you are taking something to help pull those toxins out of your body. You also want to take a multivitamin. Now, I am not a fan of vegetable-based multivitamins. I take a beef liver what I call a multivitamin, and it's just full of beef liver and heart and kidney and brains and organs, because there's way more vitamins in those types of pills than there is in the vegetable-based stuff, which I will also be talking about in the nutrition segment module next. So it is just so important that you really focus on making sure that you are taking that activated charcoal. And then finally, the next part that I want to talk about before I close out is how you break that fast. So it is recommended when you go to break a fast that you break it with broth or some sort of a light cooked vegetable, which I don't eat vegetables, and I'll explain that later too. But you want to break your fast with something that's going to be easy on your gut. I broke my last fast with sushi. It was not a good idea. I had a very upset stomach from it. You just want to keep it as lean and clean as possible, and then start, give yourself a day and a half of eating, just drinking some broth, having a couple of, cucumbers or something like that. Just slowly start eating again, and then start reincorporating your high protein, high fat. But yeah, so we all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. I have a fasting coach that is amazing. She's now my business partner for another business that I have, and her husband is also her business partner in her fasting business, and they are just so full of information. So they've taught me tons that now I get to turn around and teach you. And I am super grateful for it, because there is an art to how we fast, and we can do damage to our bodies if we don't fast properly. You're not going to starve to death. That's not the damage that you're going to do. But the damage that you could do is, just the yo-yoing and not even realizing that you're doing it. If you are fasting for 48 hours and then you break your fast by eating ice cream and pizza, you have just undone everything that you worked so hard to do. So it's just so important that you fast for the right reasons and that you fast with the intention of breaking that fast for the right reasons. So I just want to make that clear. You can fast all day long, but if you're fasting and just feasting on things that are not going to do your body any good, they're only going to do your body harm, you're going to undo everything that you just did. So you might make things last a little longer, but they're still going to have the same outcome if you're not changing everything. So while I have talked about the importance of fasting, whether it's just that you're doing a 14 to 16 hour intermittent fasting every day, or you attempt to do a long-term fast with regular intermittent fasting, just make it clear to yourself that it needs to be done with intention and that you need to be prepared to continue to work on your body and heal it the way that you are intending to do by being in this course, because that's what this course is designed for. So if you have any questions about fasting, please let me know. There is a link in this module for a tracker that I created for you, but you can also use the tracker app. I use a tracker app called Life, and it's amazing. And it's free and totally worth using that app. It tells you what phases that you're in. The only thing that I would say about this tracker app is, because research is happening all the time, the last time I did my 4-day fast, it gave me like where I was at in my tracking cycle, which was really, there's like these cycles that you go through, your body goes through the farther into fasting that you go. And it was really cool. But the information that it was trying to link you to was really old, like 2010, 2012. And that's great. And that information might still be relevant and true today, but I'd like to see better research, newer research being linked to those things. But it's still a great app. It still shows you where your body is in your autophagy and your neuroplasticity and your cellular repair and your immune repair. It's just a great app. So if you try it, let me know. I'm on there. I'll be happy to be your friend, your fasting friend on there. We'll do it together. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, please let me know. If you're in the Boxer group, please ask in Boxer so that everyone can see your question. If you're in the membership and you're participating there, please ask there so everyone can see. I am just super excited about where everybody goes with this. The more I talk about it publicly, the more people want to do it with me. And I would love to see all of us just develop these great little pods of friends that just fast together and support each other, and then all of us have better brain health. So I will see you in the nutrition module next, and I hope you have a wonderful day or night.